everyone. Welcome to today's episode on how to real estate. And we have the Joy Knight joining us today. Joy, thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we have Joy in today's podcast to discuss the reason why you would want to be on a real estate team and the reason why, as a seller, you would want to hire someone to work with you who is on a team. And as a buyer, why you would want to do that also. So whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, you're already in real estate, you're thinking about buying, or you're thinking about selling, we're going to tell you the benefits to you as to being on a team as opposed to being an individual or working with an individual realtor. Sound good?
Love it.
Okay, perfect. Joy, how long have you been in real estate?
Let's see. I started in 2016. So however many years that's been.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Jill has got her calculator out right now. And have you always been on a team?
Yes, this is all I know. I started day one on the team as an admin and then got my license after that. So this is pretty much all I know. So, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, perfect. And I have not always been on a team. I've been in real estate for 21 years, and for the first 15, I was not on a team, and then I started building a team. So that is kind of my history. So tell us what you think a benefit to a buyer would be as far as working with you because you're on a team.
Right, yeah. So one of the benefits that I always go through with my clients on a team is, number one, there's always somebody available. There's always going to be someone to help you on both ends for that. And number two is we do collaborate a lot on the team, and we share listings with each other, stuff like that, stuff that's coming up. And so that's really, really beneficial for a buyer to be able to get kind of a little bit of a sneak peek, if you will, on listings.
Absolutely. And so during COVID, I remember so distinctly and clearly, it was a Friday afternoon. There was no inventory in the 200,000 range. I had listed a property. They did not want the sign in the yard or the photos taken until Monday, but I put it in the group chat, and you said, "Can I get in now?" And you sold it that evening. And my seller was so happy to not have to go through all of the pains that were required. Mm-hmm. And your buyer would have never gotten a chance at that if we would have waited until it hit the market.
Yes, yeah, it really is something that I don't think people even think about it. That a lot of times if you see something online and it's maybe been on for just like that and it's already pending, that's usually the case, is that by the time it hit Zillow or whatever the website is, that it was already sold.
Yeah. And for those of you thinking, well, that doesn't sound fair to the seller, keep in mind the seller has all of the options. A lot of times the seller does not want, 10 people to come through the home and hope that 2 of them make an offer. If a buyer comes in prior to the sign going in the yard and the photos on Zillow, and they get the number that they were hoping for and wanting, the sellers are typically very, very happy. Now, we have had situations where the seller said, "Thank you so much for the offer, but I do want to play the long game. Let's put it out there and see if we can get something better." Completely up to the seller. Mm-hmm. But as a buyer, wouldn't you rather at least get in the door and have the shot at it? So yes, I love that. Sure. Another thing that happened was, I know that, and this just was a few months ago, one of our teammates had been showing a buyer homes. There wasn't a whole lot of inventory, and a property came on just about the time that they were getting to the airport. They have their phone set up so they know when something new comes on. And actually, I believe it was something in office that came up through the in-office. And they saw it. They felt like it would be perfect for their buyer. And so they contacted Joy, and Joy went and let them in and let them show the property. So to me, that is one of the biggest benefits.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Having someone that you're always going to be helped. especially in a competitive market.
Can you imagine, as a buyer, you contact me and I say, I'm sorry, I'm getting on a plane. I'll be back in 4 to 5 days and hopefully it'll still be there.
Yeah, no, you don't want to cross your fingers, especially if it's a great property. It might sell before you can even get into it. So.
Yeah. So benefits of working with someone who is on a team. And then I do want to clarify that I know that in the past I've had people be concerned about how confusing that would be. Do you think that that's an issue?
I don't think so. I think that we kind of go into it with that as I'm on a team. Everybody knows that. I'm on the sales team. We kind of all work together. So as long as it is communicated up front, I don't feel like there's any confusion.
Yeah, I feel like maybe only 10% of the time would your buyer ever actually know. And then a lot of times it's more of, hey, Braden or Annalise or Edna is coming to unlock the door for you.
Yeah.
I am stuck at this other meeting and I'll be there at the end,
Yeah.
or I'll be the one that meets you back at the office to write the offer, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
circle back around.
yeah, but you would not be communicating directly back and forth with both.
Yeah.
So love that. Okay. So that is as the benefits to a buyer. Benefits to a seller. Well, let me tell you, I have a whole... I personally, having bought and sold, I need to do that at some point. Sit down and figure out how many homes I've bought and sold. But I will say, as a married person, as a family, over double digits, because we moved every 2 years when I first got into real estate. And it was to move up, or a lateral move, for making money. But as a seller, having the difference between, when I was an individual and I was a team, it was phenomenally different. And you've sold as a seller on a team.
Yeah.
It's game changing because you have more people to help with open houses. There were times where, depending on the location and the size of the home, you didn't want just one person in the house. You wanted you wanted two people. Remember your 2-story home? Yes. And then again, just having the availability of when a buyer contacts you and wants in the home, and the only person is the person you listed with, that just doesn't quite feel right, right?
Yeah.
So we absolutely never miss a showing. The other thing with the team, the benefit to a seller is just all of the extra support system that we have as a team. We have the lovely Jill, who's behind the camera. We're going to have to pull her out here one of these days. And Jill's full-time job is marketing director. And what I like to tell a seller is from 8 to 5 days a week, her only job is to figure out how to get our listings on the team, right, in front of as many buyers as possible. Mm-hmm. And that is through so many different platforms and things that half of them, I'm not even sure what she does, but some kind of magic that she does. Another support system that we have is a transaction coordinator and a listing coordinator. So we're not going to get into a transaction and then find out that we missed a signature or an initial. It's like a quality control situation that we have. So there's so much additional support that goes into helping get these listings on and then maintain the listings and keep them updated. One of my favorite things is that if I'm out at the lake showing and my client in Pegs calls me and says, hey, love everything, but photo number 14 is not my house. Oops. Yeah, oops, exactly. That totally happens. Then you don't have to wait until I get back to the office, log in, and correct it. I can have, one of the support staff take care of that and correct it. And it is a big deal because when there's incorrect information or we've missed putting something really important in there, I think it's imperative to do that in a timely manner.
Absolutely. Yeah. She's definitely the heartbeat of
yes.
of everything.
Yes.
Keeps us going.
Absolutely. It's just so important. I can't imagine because I used to do it. Right.
Don't want to.
And it could take days before I was able to get to the paperwork or to get to getting something corrected. And this way I can have a conversation with my seller and say, please check your email. the coordinator is sending it over now, and all you have to do is electronically sign it. Whereas if you have to wait for me to finish up with an appointment, drive back to the office, get it in there, then that's important, because sometimes there's timelines that if you miss that timeline, it could set everything back, including closing.
Yes, it's very efficient. That's the word that I always say,
that.
like with my buyers, especially in sellers too, is that having that transaction coordinator keeps us to where we can be the most efficient with our time,
Absolutely.
that I'm, not worried and stressed about having to go fix that 14th picture that I messed up. I can still be showing houses and getting properties listed while somebody's at the office and can, take care of that for me.
Yes. I appreciate your transparency about her saying that the 14th photo was her error. What I say when I'm listing is that, if you're a seller, you and I are now on a team, right? You're not responsible for my errors, but help me correct them. Because on average, it can be like 13 people who touch this file before you see it on Zillow. Now, what I found in the 21 years is that when the information is wrong, the house is only, 2,100 square feet, but it says 2,700 square feet. And I would go back and I'd start at Zillow and figure out, okay, that's where they got it. And I'd trace it all the way back. 99% of the time, I was the problem. I made the error. My handwriting was messed up, or I was writing notes really fast.
Wrong box.
Exactly. But it was perpetuated all the way through. So I do think that that's really important. Again, having a team, because a lot of times the quality control catches that and it's like, hey, the tax records say this, but your handwriting says this, and so we can correct that.
Yeah, it is a quality control, because then while we're doing the listing and doing that kind of thing, that we can be thinking, okay, we do need to make sure we're doing it correctly so that we don't have to make somebody else fix our problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, because sometimes we'll even do that little contest of, we'll ask Brittany, who did the best this week? Who had no missing paperwork? So, yeah. Okay, so those are massive benefits to why a buyer should look at working with a realtor who's on a team. And I just can't imagine ever a seller not choosing a team to work with, because also just the marketing or the cross marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I post one of my new listings and I tag Joy. So I don't know, how many followers do I have? 7,000 followers. Not only will my 7,000 see it, but all of Joy's will see it, all of Braden's will see it, all of Annalisa's, and then I still bring in like the other support staff because I want their family and friends to know about it also,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So it's just a different level of marketing that you get to do as far as that goes.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we can definitely help each other out in that aspect, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on seller? Why we would think it was a massive benefit to a seller?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. So now let's talk about if you're in real estate and or wanting to get into real estate. Why? But what do you think are some of the top reasons why someone should really seriously look at working with the team?
Yeah, so obviously having the support staff and is obviously very beneficial. I wouldn't do it any differently. But having the camaraderie with the team, and I mean, we're all just kind of friends, and it's kind of nice that we get to bounce ideas off of each other. We get to have that support with our clients and our buyers and sellers, but also just as business people, having that, it's a huge, huge benefit, I think. And I feel like when you're a realtor, it can be very isolating. It seems like it wouldn't be because we're talking to people, or, showing houses, that kind of thing. But when you're 90% of the job is in the office and you're doing paperwork, when you're by yourself, I just can't even imagine sitting in an office by yourself. I mean, you did it. I've never done it. I just can't imagine.
I remember sitting in my office crying.
Yeah,
I would never catch up. I'm so far behind,
So just having the fun atmosphere, and we try to keep it light, but we're all very professional, and I love it.
It's a culture,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It really, really is. And I will say that if you're in real estate and you're just absolutely not interested in joining a team, let me give you a piece of advice. I have received, I don't know that I should share this. One of my, the look on Jill's face. No, listen, I can tell you at least a handful of times that I've gotten a listing and the seller said, blank blank is with this company and they're a really good friend of mine, but at every soccer game, all they do is sit there and complain about real estate and their clients and their da-da-da, right?
Because they're by themselves, isolated.
Exactly. Whereas we can't. In fact, what do we have? The little sand, what is it
Our
called?
minute to
Minute to fuss.
Yeah.
And it's a sand, I don't know what those are called.
time
Timer.
glass,
Time glass, yeah.
hourglass.
Yeah, and it's a 1-minute timer, and you get to just for 1 minute, and then from that point on, you have to be a problem solver.
Yes.
So, so I don't know where I was going with that, but if you are not thinking about being on a team, just maybe don't take your frustration out on everybody sitting around you or you, and then they call and list with me. That's why I was like, maybe I shouldn't share that. So, okay, mentorship. Mentorship is probably one of the top reasons I would say for joining a team. One of my favorite things to do is to try to be as transparent with the team as possible and tell them, yep, I've made that mistake. I think I've made all the mistakes. And so I can help them skip so many pain points by saying, from my experience, having done it this way, it was completely wrong. And this is why I do it this way now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love that about being on a team is that we do learn, and this job is interesting. We learn something every day, and every transaction is completely different. So there's a lot to learn. And so I think when we're able to share that and we can kind of, see a red flag in something, we're like, hey, so, or just kind of maybe push a little bit further on, where your thought process is on stuff, and just kind of talk it out with everyone. It's very nice.
Yeah. Well, and an example of that is just the other day, you had pointed out that a home may not meet the flip rule for FHA, and I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in a minute because
ding, ding, ding.
we hadn't had too many flips in the last year because of interest rates and everything. So it's gaining experience, or being able to, actually not even gaining so much as being able to utilize her experience to make my experience flow smoother, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that that's a huge one. So gaining experience, co-marketing, we've already kind of touched on that. That's everything from, hey, Joy, would you be in the podcast with me? To Joy sharing my listings, setting at an open house for me because, I've got a baby shower to go to, there's just so many levels on co-marketing that are super important. Me getting a peek at the listings that she's going to put on next week, that's co-marketing. So that's huge. Improved marketing. I think that Joy and I are both pretty strong on the social media, and she's taught me so many just little tweaks to make it easier on Instagram. I don't love the social media aspect of it. Jill is laughing. Joy is kind of a natural for her. It could be an age thing, I don't know, but she absolutely collaborates with me to say, hey, here's a way to do that. Here's a quicker, faster way. So improved marketing, I think, helps. Sharing leads, absolutely. I am not everyone's flavor. And if I know going in that it just doesn't feel like it's clicking, and they really want someone who's going to nurture them and mother them, yeah, that's not me. That would be Joy. And we absolutely have done that. And then they were thrilled with Joy. They loved the process. They thought it was great. You can ask my children. I'm a little more, I'm going to set you straight from the get-go and maybe even yell at you a little bit. My son right now is going a lot. So yes, exactly. Joy will be gentle with you and lead you through the process. So love that. So I think sharing leads and the same, you've had people that you felt like were not a good fit, and we were able to help them and take them all the way through. This one's a fun one. Sharing just equipment, okay? Lock boxes, flashlights, hammers.
Oh my gosh, the hammers.
The hammer of it all, right? Drones, open house signs,
Wheels.
snacks. Oh, the wheel, the measuring wheel. Of course, I had snacks before I had measuring wheel. You won't go hungry if you're on a team,
No.
right? Okay, love that. Stronger marketing because of the marketing manager. I think we've already mentioned that. Training and support. And it kind of goes back to that. I've made that error, so hey, you don't have to. And as long as I've been doing this, I still learn every day. And so there's times where Joy or someone on the team will experience something that I'm like, I've never heard of that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and so I see it on the flip side with people that are not being mentored, people that do not have that support, or they don't have the training or whatever, and it's a little scary. Some of the things that I hear from other agents that aren't being trained, and it's not necessarily their fault. They're just not being mentored correctly.
Absolutely.
So very, very thankful for that, for sure.
Yeah. And it's we break it down to such childlike. Step one, this is how you set up an appointment with another realtor. You tell the other realtor that you're a realtor, who your brokerage is, what your name is, what the address of the property is, what day and time you want to show it. Now that sounds completely normal, but just yesterday we were all in the car touring some new homes, and I received a text message saying, hey, can I show your home in Tahlequah? They didn't tell me who they were, when they wanted to show it, which property in Tahlequah, who they were with, and I sent it back. They didn't answer all the, it ended up taking about 8 text messages to get everything out of them that I needed to be able to help them.
Right.
And that is like literally step one. Well, step one is keys, but that's a whole nother, we're not going to do that breakdown. But if you feel like sometimes your communication is lacking or you haven't been trained, you really might want to lean into talking to somebody who has a team.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Accountability.
I love the accountability. It's my favorite part. That sounds...
That did not sound authentic. Now raise your right hand and swear on a Bible.
No, I love it now. I think when I first started, it felt like criticism, and I've never been like great at taking criticism, but I've been able to change my mindset and just be like, oh, I'm not being criticized. This is what I can improve on. We do a lot of tracking, all of our appointments, all of our deals, all of our goals, all of that, and I have become obsessed with it. So I'm so thankful that I kind of got through my initial mindset to just, yeah.
Well, and I think this covers so many things, but I'm going to go back to culture, the transparency, the fact that she can be vulnerable and admit that it made her very uncomfortable. But over this year, did we do the math? How many years has she been with us? Over this 8 years, to grow as a person, to be able to say that I felt like I was being criticized when actually I was being held accountable, and to grow. And that is the most amazing thing to me, is that as to try to be as transparent, because I have so much respect for Joy, to always remind myself, admit my errors, admit my mistakes, and admit my vulnerability, because you really cannot grow if you don't do that. And so I just have so much respect for the fact that you are emotionally mature enough to admit.
Yeah. And I don't think that I would still be doing real estate if I hadn't changed my mindset that way, because I do think that you have to track, you have to do those things in order to be successful and not drive yourself crazy. So yeah, I'm glad that I stuck with it, because I love it.
And I do, there's a little also bit of, as chill as Joy's personality is, she's massively competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's that part of the accountability is she does want to, she wants to hit her numbers and she wants to, sometimes give the rest of us a run for our money. So
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I love that part of the accountability. Negotiation skills.
Yes, that's a good one for sure. Especially if we can do some, what do you call it? Scripting with Edna. That's fun.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
really kind of hone in our negotiation skills if you can negotiate with Edna Kimball.
Knowing exactly what to say it, when to keep moving forward, when to pull back, all of that is so important. Having an international, global real estate coach.
Yes. Yeah, we love Coach Sandra.
Yeah, that's not me. So we have Coach Sandra Hendricks, who is currently based out of Mexico City, but not for much longer. She's going to be moving to Europe. And she comes out to visit us. We actually, I think there's like 12 opportunities throughout the year for us to spend time with her. We all meet with her once a week on Zoom, so it doesn't have to be a flight. But I think that that's a massive one. She basically has her foot on the pulse of the global real estate market and what hundreds of thousands of other realtors are doing, and then she brings it to us and breaks it down into how it can help us.
Yeah,
So.
she's a great coach, and she does really what the job description is. She really does coach us, and even if she has to yell at us sometimes to.
She's a big accountability partner.
Yes, yeah, so it's great.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then professional development and designations. You don't have to be a part of the team to do those, but to be on our team, we actually have some minimum requirements.
Yeah. I think it's really important to do, any continuing education. Obviously, we have to do it as realtors, but I think doing the bare minimum isn't enough because that's just like the basic stuff. And but we're trying to get these designations. We're trying to get educated for our clients because that's how we serve you guys. Is we know what we're doing, and in order to do that, we have to go to these classes. And it's very important. So I love it.
Yeah. I really want to steal that insurance commercial. We know a few things because we've seen a few things. And that's everything from the education aspect of it to with the combined years of experience, we can all share.
Yeah.
And then I think the last one is just expert guidance from each other, from our coach, from the support staff, whatever the item is. I'm not sitting here, at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon trying to think, I don't know what to do. I can bounce the idea off. And that sounds so weird because sometimes I know the answer as I'm telling you the problem, but it does help me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's just another level of mentorship. And there's not a mentorship like you're up here and you're here. And, there's not like a tier or anything.
No.
We're all collaborating and trying to help each other as best we can.
Because none of us can remember it all. And so to have Joy remind me, that could apply to the FHA 90-day flip rule where you need 2 appraisals. How many of you knew that? So, and being reminded of that before I'm 2 weeks away from closing and then somebody remembers. So the little things like that make a huge, huge difference. So,
for sure.
Okay. Well, I think that anything else? Or
That's it. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot. But as always, if you have questions about working with a team, again, whether you're a buyer or a seller, you're already currently in real estate, or you would like to get into real estate, reach out. Joy's information will be below. Mine information, you guys know how to find me. As always, please like, follow, and share so we can get this out to as many people as possible. And I hope I'm not doing a spoiler alert, but I do want to announce we just hit our millionth view on YouTube. Yay! So talk about marketing. If you are a seller and you want your property out there in front of people, or you're in real estate and you feel like you're not getting views, give us a call. Also, please, if there's a topic you would like for us to discuss, let us know. Or if there was someone you would like to see on the podcast, let us know and we'll make those calls. Thanks, everyone.